everyone, welcome back to our YouTube personalities and realized careers.
Where we dive deep into the intricacies and implications of India's Union Budget 2024. I am Bhoomika,
And I am Mahima.
Public Relation Heads of SPARC Hansraj. We are thrilled to be your host as we unpack the economic roadmap that will shape the nation's course in the coming fiscal year.
The Union Budget is more than just a budget. It's a guide for development, an expression of priorities, and a force for transformation in all spheres of society. Siddhartha Havelia, a proud 2003 batch member of Hansraj and co founder of Mercurius, a business causing a stir in both the local and global financial sectors, join us today.
A small town guy from Lucknow with a determination to carve his own path and build something big became a certified chartered accountant in a year after graduation. He earned his skills at prestigious firms like PwC, Grant Thornton, and American Express, tackling a wide range of challenges before co founding Mercurius in 2008.
As the head of Mercurius' global accounting and tax business, Sir now counsels clients in more than 50 nations. And to the top of it all, he is a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales, ICAEW, where he possesses the prestigious ACA degree.
Hello, Siddharth sir. We are thrilled to have you today. Your expertise in finance is highly respected. We are excited to hear your thoughts.
Together, we will examine how the Union Budget 2024's allotments, policies, and reforms seek to advance India's economic growth, tackle urgent issues, and create the framework for sustainable development.
So, without further ado, let's delve into the heart of Union Budget 2024 and decipher what it means. So, sir, our first question is, can you provide an overview of the key highlights of the Union Budget 2024? What are the main priorities or focus areas that this budget addresses?
Absolutely. Thank you for calling me to Hansraj. I'm actually having a nostalgic feeling considering that I was a pass out from Hansraj and today I'm speaking to all the kids over there. Well, to begin with, this year's budget is quite historic as Nirmala Sitharaman has become the first finance minister to present the seventh consecutive budget speeches, breaking the record of former Prime Minister Morarji Desai. Every year, when the budget comes, there are some key elements around which the policy change revolve. The Budget 2024 is a strategic blueprint for a nation on the move aimed at advancing Viksit Bharat with a strong focus on providing employment, skill development, supporting MSME, and improving the conditions of middle class. It also prioritizes agriculture, human development, manufacturing, urban development, energy security, infrastructure, next generation reforms, and innovation. The budget is essentially about balancing economic growth with social welfare.
Thank you, sir. That clarified a lot. What are the key strategies or policies introduced to boost employment?
With COVID and then with recession, top companies and MNCs were forced to lay off thousands of employees. It was really crucial for the government to create policies in the budget that can boost employment and provide security to both the employees as well as employers. They've introduced three schemes of employment. Scheme A provides 1 month wage subsidy for all new entrants in the formal sector. The same is expected to benefit 2.1 crore youth. Scheme B focuses on job creation in manufacturing by incentivizing EPF contribution for first-time employees. Every year, lakhs and crores of students graduate from colleges seeking jobs and internship. This year's budget thoughtfully considers their need by providing an internship stipend of rupees 5,000 per month, along with a one-time assistance of rupees 6,000. It also mentions that the company will only be covering the training expenses, and that too they can claim from their CSR fund. Speaking of employers' benefit, Scheme C supports them by reimbursing EPF contribution for new hires, which is expected to generate 50 lakh jobs in upcoming years, which honestly is an impressive number. Furthermore, the corporate tax rate for foreign companies have been reduced from 40% to 6 to 35%. This can actually bring in a lot of foreign companies over to India. Overall, I expect to see some good improvement in current employment state of the country in next few years.
Thank you, sir. Moving to the next question. How will this budget impact the national deficit and debt? Are there any plans for reducing the debt burden?
I understand that the concept of debt is really taken very negatively in general. I have read this famous book, which I would recommend everybody to read, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, where the author, Robert Kiyosaki, introduces the concept of good and bad debt. Let's say you have 10 lakh rupees, which you can go all in with spending them on a property. Or you can invest this amount and let it yield returns, and borrow another 10 lakh to buy the property and still pay lesser interest than what you are earning from the investment. In a way, your money has just doubled up. Isn't it a win-win situation? So the debt concept is not as bad as it is perceived. It is about choosing the right debt. So this year, the government plans to borrow a gross amount of 14.01 lakh crore, which is comparatively less than 14.13 lakh crore, which was announced in the interim budget, and even less than 15.43 lakh crore, which was borrowed last year. The fiscal deficit is estimated at 4.9% of GDP for the current fiscal year, down from 5.1% projected in interim budget. The government targets to reduce it to 4.5% by the end of next year. It is worth noting that this year, India's finances have garnered increased attention as the local currency bonds have been included in JP Morgan's Emerging Market Debt Index.
Okay, thank you, sir. It clarified a lot of things. Our next question is, how can we use information from the budget to make informed investment decisions that aligns with our personal goals?
If you're a startup, which today's generation, a lot of people think about being a startup, the long-awaited demand for angel tax abolition have been fulfilled in this budget. If you're a trader or an investor, the short-term gains on specific assets will now be taxed at 20%, while the long-term capital gains will be taxed at 12.5%. Additionally, the securities transaction tax has been doubled from 0.01% to 0.02% on FNOs. I think people will now be holding assets for a longer period. The budget has also increased capital gain exemption limit to 1.25 lakh per year, providing some relief to the small investors. However, for property sale, the new tax rate for long-term capital gain is set at 12.5%, and that too without indexation. In short, this change has increased the tax burden on real estate investments. Furthermore, a simpler tax system has been introduced for domestic cruise operations, making it much more attractive for investments in this emerging sector. Overall, these changes reflect the government intent to streamline tax regulations and promote long-term investments. In my opinion, investors must carefully evaluate these updates to align their strategies, balancing the benefits and navigating the increased tax burdens in certain areas.
Thank you, sir. That was insightful. Moving to the next question. Does the budget propose changes to taxes, and how will these affect individuals and businesses? Specifically, what provisions have been introduced that directly impact middle income earners?
Everything new that comes in the market, including mutual emotions like grief, seems to take over Instagram these days, doesn't it? Just last night, my Instagram was flooded with budget memes, mostly centered around how the middle class is being neglected every year, while the government fills the pockets of big investors and firms. Despite these sentiments, the finance minister mentioned that the middle class, which largely comprises of salaried individual, is actually going to have more money in their pockets. The new tax regime, which has been adopted by two-thirds of the taxpayers, has simplified tax return filing and has been constantly improved over the years. Firstly, the standard deduction has been increased from 50,000 to 75,000. Additionally, the tax slabs have also been tweaked. People now earning between 3 to 7 lakh will have to pay only 5% in taxes. For those who are earning up to 10 lakh and between 10 to 12 lakhs, the tax rates are 10% and 15% respectively. So for salaried employees in the new tax regime, these changes mean a potential saving of up to rupees 17,500. Moreover, the NPS contribution for employers has been raised from 10% to 14% of the basic salary, making it much more attractive for salaries professionals in the private sector. While this might be a hooray movement for the company's point of view, it certainly will benefit the employees. In a way, I think government is encouraging people to adopt the new tax regime and making taxes simplified and straightforward. Now, coming on to the second part of your question, the government has announced sharp cut in the import duties of gold and silver from 15% to 6%. I mean, lot of girls and women are gonna go for jewelry shopping now. The basic custom duty on mobile phones and accessories has been reduced from 15 to 15% from 20%. The government has also announced exemptions on duties for certain critical minerals. These steps by government will help drive investment in these sectors and at the same time also generate more employment.
Thank you, sir. It was really helpful. Now, our next question is that not everybody will be satisfied with the budget. What do you think are the shortcomings here?
That is true with every budget, whether whatever the government across the globe. I mean, not everybody can be made happy with the budget announcements. Some sector receive more attention as compared to the other. One of the biggest criticism this time has been an increase in capital gain taxes. The short-term capital gain has been raised from 15% to 20%, and the long-term tax has been increased from 10% to 12%, 12.5%. Also, the indexation on long-term capital gains has been removed. So, I mean, all in all, these might have negative impact on investment as it reduces the after-tax return for the investors, and people might be discouraged to make short-term investment decisions. So, I mean, too early to state anything, but this is what my personal feeling is.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Next question is, who benefits and who loses from the Union Budget 2024?
Well, I see that the budget offers numerous benefits. It is subjective to say if anybody is losing out, as all the sectors and industries are interrelated and ultimately benefit from the overall growth of economy. For instance, MSME along with manufacturing and service sectors stand to gain significantly. The government has introduced a new mechanism to support bank credit during the stress periods and has also increased Mudra loan limit, which will provide much needed financial stability to these sectors. Additionally, the introduction of 1 month wage support scheme for new entrant to the workforce is aimed at boosting employment and easing transition to job markets. Agriculture, Agriculture, which is one of the most important sectors in India, has received one of the highest ever allocation of 1.25 trillion rupees. This substantial investment underscores the government's commitment to support farmers and fostering agricultural development. Urban development has also received spotlight with specific attention to Bihar and Andhra Pradesh. As we have discussed earlier, you students will also benefit from the budget with education loan of up to rupees 10 lakhs and annual e-vouchers for 1 lakh student offering a 3% interest subsidy. Furthermore, the development of Gaya node on Amritsar-Kolkata route for the Eastern Freight Corridor is significant infrastructure project that will enhance transportation and connectivity in the region. The budget brings tax relief to salaried individual by increasing the standard deduction to 75,000 and also to startups by abolishing angel tax. According to me, the budget aims to provide broad benefits across sectors, fostering growth and development throughout the country to support both short-term recovery as well as the long-term prosperity. I think it reflects a very balanced approach to the economic management and is a great start with Modi 3.
Yes, sir. Your words were really insightful. Our next question is that in the context of recently released budget, what are some other key expectations or provisions that individuals and businesses were anticipating?
The budget has been the hottest topic of discussion, and luckily this year, twice, once at a time of interim budget and now at a time of the final budget. So anybody and everybody has just been discussing about the budget and budget. And especially after the budget, people and businesses have been discussing it even more, that what are the other benefits that the government should have done. So I think a lot of people were looking forward to much more tax relief, especially an increase in Section 80C deductions for investments. I mean, I heard some people saying that the limit should be increased from 1.5 lakh to 2 lakh or 2.5 lakh. And also in the Section 80D deduction for the medical related benefits, considering that the COVID has passed by. So people were really eager that there's going to be much more provisions in the budget related to Section 80D. Home buyers, I mean, considering the stress that the sector has gone through, the reality sector has gone through, people were expecting that there will be a lot of interest subsidy programs so that the home loans become cheaper. Domestic businesses, including mine business, we were hoping that the tax rate is going to be reduced. Some people were even expecting that the budget would promote green technology among MSME and larger businesses through incentives like subsidies, grants, and tax exemption. With the budget being announced, it is evident that the government is focusing on balancing their fiscal responsibility, and at the same time, they are not even compromising with the growth. So they are ensuring that there is a fiscal discipline in the country while the growth continues and uptick. But I think meeting these additional expectations could have further accelerated the economic and social development of the country, providing much more comprehensive boost to the nation's progress. But I'm sure this budget is an excellent budget and a great start, and we will see much more coming through in the next few years.
Yes, sir, that was insightful. We really appreciate your presence here today. It was very informative seminar and I'm sure it shed a great deal of light on some of the most important budgetary issues of this year. Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much,
much
sir.
for inviting me.